VakifBank won their 7th Champions League, and if you just look at the stats, you'll see Bošković with 33 points in the final. And that's what most people focused on, their volume. But that's not what stood out to me. What stood out was when she scored, because there's a difference between scoring a lot and scoring when it matters. Final score, VakifBank 3, Eczacıbaşı 1. 25-20, 25-21, 21-25, 25-18. All Turkish final. Only the second time this has happened in Champions League history. And going into that fourth set, the match wasn't decided. Eczacıbaşı had just taken set 3. Momentum shifts, energy changes, the crowd is in it. That's where most players drop. Not in level, in presence. They're still playing, but they're not deciding anymore. And that's where the great opposites separate themselves, because Bošković didn't just keep scoring, she got bigger. Set 4, after losing set 3 against that crowd, that's the detail, because most opposites get their numbers when the team is already flowing. Good reception, system plays, everything is clean, and they finish. But the great ones create separation when the game tightens. Out of system balls, high pressure swings, moments where the set can go either way. That's where the match is decided, and that's why I always say this. Volume is a trick. You can have 25, 30, even more points and not control the match. Because what matters is not how many you score, it's when you score them. And if you look at this final, that's exactly what happened. But there is another layer here that most people won't talk about. This wasn't a one-player win. Markova added 26. 2 players over 25 points in a Champions League final. That is not common, because at this level, if you rely on one player, you are predictable. And predictable teams don't win finals. What VakifBank showed again is depth. Options. The ability to stay dangerous, even when one side is under pressure. And that's what separates great teams from great players. Because great players can win matches, but great teams win titles. Now, on the other side, Eczacıbaşı, pushing that match to 4 sets in that environment. That is not failure, that is progress. Because the gap is smaller now, you can feel it in matches like this. The level is closer, the margins are tighter, and that's good for the game. But finals are still decided the same way. Not by who plays best overall, but by who controls the pressure moments. And in that final, that was clear. So if you take anything from this match, especially if you are a player, it's this. Don't chase numbers, chase moments, because that's what defines performance at the highest level. VakifBank, 7th Champions League, not just because of talent, but because when the match started slipping, they had players who stepped forward, not back. And that's the difference. If you want more breakdowns like this from a pro perspective, let me know.